Good morning. My name is Martin Thomas. I'm a student in Entrepreneurship 1010, along with the president of Kiva Consulting Strategy. Today we are going to be talking about three companies. Kiva, a crowdsourced microfinance international company. Airbnb, kind of a hotels.com for houses and whatnot, preferably to stay on a short time frame. And Dunford Donuts. We're going to be talking about the different kinds of value in relation to these companies. We're going to compare them, and we're going to analyze them based on the VRIO framework commonly used in corporate strategy and used by most private equity firms to evaluate a worthy investment company. The first company I would like to discuss is Dunford Donuts, the 1920s company that came up with a reasonably disruptive technology of cake donuts. It was a big deal back then. Nowadays, Dunford Donuts is a good family-owned chain of donut shops that is reasonably successful and has long-term competitive advantage in their own sector. So when we describe the kinds of value, we have the value in use, the value in exchange, the value in convenience, or the value in distribution, and the value in finance. Dunford Donuts makes a value in use, good tasting donut that people will go to some of the time. It's a useful thing to have on the side. People would like donuts. Right? Then we have their value in exchange. I mean, are these donuts relatively cheap? Yeah. They have a very well vertically integrated firm where they can produce donuts at the cost that they decide, unlike Dunkin' Donuts, Winchell's, people like that. So the value in distribution, I would say, in their market is reasonably valuable. The market is huge. People who don't know who they are or what they do don't typically shop there. They're not very conveniently located, but for their niche market, they're reasonably convenient. And their distribution chain is, like I said before, with their vertical integration strategy, they do okay. They are a sustainable company that will be for decades and decades and decades to come. Their value in finance. This is a crux for all corporate strategy types. What is their value in finance? Or, their organizational strength and cash flows. I would say that they are, they're reasonable. They stayed in business. They will stay in business for a long time. I don't see them expanding, though. You will most likely never see a corporate, publicly traded Dunford Baker's Donuts. Fair enough. So let's move on to our second company, Kiva. Kiva is the microfinance company. I actually get really, really excited about Kiva because they're a truly awesome company. I have the privilege of studying under an economic professor named Professor Chate one of the department chairs here at the University of Utah. And she almost single-handedly built a city in India using microfinance strategies. Throughout many years of IMF and World Bank, most people discovered that in these communities where microfinance firms exist, large dollar government-sponsored chunks of money typically don't work. They almost always go into the wrong hands. But microfinance has found a way to reach these customers directly for their needs. There's a fantastic movie, it's called Less Than $1 a Day. It's about a bunch of kids who go to a Central American country and they live on the average of $1 a day, and they explore this concept of microfinance and how it changed everybody's lives in this village. Kiva itself is Kickstarter and these microfinance firms meshed together. So what Kiva does is they crowdsource a pool of money of donors into these microfinance firms, and the donor's money gets recycled. So you're actually creating a perpetual cash flow, or in terms of this class, a value in finance that is extremely strong. Obviously, the consumers have value in use. The donors have value in being able to see what their money is going to, and obviously the borrowers, their lives are going to be permanently changed by this, more likely than not for the better. A little about myself. I am a prior service United States Marine, and I spent most of my adult life either in Central or Eastern Asia. My wife is from Kyrgyzstan. You see the Turkish flag behind me. You know, microfinance firms change entire villages very quickly. Typically, when a microfinance firm is inserted into a rural village somewhere, that village typically becomes the economic center of wherever it tends to grow out of it. The value in exchange, the value in convenience. Obviously, there has to be a firm, you know, where they're at. These are villages of people that do not have, you know, transportation. So these microfinance firms, people might have to travel a great deal to actually get there on foot or getting rides or something like that. It's very hard to reach these places. So, you know, I would say that their value distribution is, from the borrower's standpoint, is reasonably low, but the value and distribution for the lenders is extremely high. Remember, this is crowdsourced like Kickstarter, so all of the, you know, Western world, more affluent societies, they see this website, they're internet connected. Um, The next one is Airbnb. Airbnb is the hotels.com for private people renting out rooms. You know, my own qualms about they have very strong cash flows. They make their money, you know, with a slice, a chunk of change. It's very effective for what they do. You know, my personal opinion about Airbnb is they are about a mile wide and an inch deep. Okay, mate, we're going to have a pickup. Okay, so let's get back to this. Mile wide, inch deep. Their value in use is obviously good. I mean, the prices that these people are renting rooms at is roughly equivalent with a hotel. You know, it's more exciting. I would argue that most world travelers, you know, when you get into places like Tibet and Kyrgyzstan, and rural Turkey, you're not staying in a typical hotel. You're paying somebody for their extra room. And I feel that that's really a concept that's lost with Americans. Their value in exchange, you know, obviously, maybe the users of Airbnb can actually reach places that they otherwise could not have, like, you know, Turkey. Or, and, you know, it's probably not going to go away because they've been around for, you know, forever. But, you know, they could hire a finance manager. Airbnb, they, again, it's external analysis. I don't see them diversifying away their risk just in case if they have, you know, a trade embargo or something happens or a terrorist attack in some country to shut down the contacts to that country, or, you know, not. You know, heaven forbid regulation from this country coming in and messing with their business. How are they going to back? Yeah. How are they going to diversify and protect? Which comes up to the next and final concept. You know, the VRIO framework stands for value, rarity, imitability, and organizational strength. So, you know, as a private equity firm would look at somebody like Dunford Baker's Donuts, they would say, well, you know, how are you going to grow? And the answer would most likely be, or not, we're just going to sell donuts because that's what we love doing, and my family is going to have a safe, secure job for the next couple hundred years. And, you know, the private equity firm would look at them and say, okay, good on you. You know, it's fine. You don't need my money. But they do provide value. They have, you know, something valuable that they have that other people don't. You know, is it rare? From a corporate strategy standpoint, I would have to say no. Dunford Baker's donuts are not rare. There are other cake donuts out there that are more conveniently located for their customers. And I feel that most of Dunford Donuts customers are loyalty, you know, customers that have been going there for years and years and years. Imitability. You know, do they have something that other people cannot do? Absolutely not. They do not have it. Organizational strength. Well, you know, according to the prima facie of the VRIO framework, as soon as you don't meet a criteria, you don't assess that further step. So I would say that Dunford Baker's donuts are valuable and sort of rare, but not imitable, and they don't have organizational strength. Kiva. Kiva is extremely valuable. They have something that nobody else has done. Crowdsourcing microfinance. Fantastic idea. It is extremely rare because there's only one company that does it. Are they imitable? I would argue that their entire cost structure is built up in a way that trying to imitate them would be so difficult that nobody is going to be willing to do it. So yeah,